Hey there, welcome to Lead with Soul, the podcast for women leaders and entrepreneurs who want to grow their business without losing their mind or their personality in the process. I am your host, Meghna, and I am so excited you're here for this very first episode. Now, today we are going to be talking about something that I know you have dealt with. Why? Because literally every DM I get is about this. And the fact that I've also dealt with it. That fun little voice in your head that keeps saying, "Who do you think you are?" Yep, we are diving into imposter syndrome and how to flip it into your inner CEO energy. Okay, so quick story to kick this off. Yesterday, I was about to hop on a call with a dream client, right? Like one of those pinch me moments. And there I was sitting in my home office wearing my professional shirt, right? Let's be real. It was pajama pants on the bottom. And suddenly my brain goes, "Oh, honey, they're going to figure it out that you're just making this up as you go along." First of all, brain, rude. Second of all, aren't we all just kind of making it up as we go along? See, here's the thing about imposter syndrome, though. It's like that one friend who always shows up uninvited to the party and tries to convince everybody that the music isn't actually that good. It doesn't matter whether you made $100 last month or 100,000. That little voice just loves to pop up and be like, "But do you really know what you're doing?" Have you experienced it, right? Let me take you back to my first year in business. Picture this. I am sitting there with my very first client proposal, Googling how to write a business proposal. What should my professional email look like? And meanwhile, my Instagram feed is full of people who are claiming to make six figures in their sleep. And I'm over here celebrating when someone likes my Instagram page. The imposter syndrome was so real that I actually wrote "fake it till you make it" on a sticky, on a Post-it, and I stuck it to my laptop. Spoiler alert. That wasn't actually helpful. Shocking, I know, right? But here's what I have learned since then. And this is what you and I are really going to dig into today. The problem isn't that we feel like imposters. See, the problem is that we think that everybody else has it all figured out. Let me spill some tea. Last week, I was in a mastermind call with some pretty successful business owners. We're talking multiple six-figure businesses, big teams, the whole 9 yards. You know what we spent the whole call talking, half the call talking about? How we all still sometimes forget to unmute ourselves on Zoom and occasionally send emails with typos. I mean, we're all human, right? So let's talk about how you and I can flip this imposter syndrome into what I like to call your inner CEO. And no, this does not involve buying a power suit. I mean, if you want to go shopping, more power to you and I. Or even suddenly starting to speak in corporate buzzwords. Here are the 4 biggest imposter syndrome triggers I see and how to handle them. First up, the "I am not qualified enough" spiral. You know the one where you look at your perfectly good certification or years of experience, and then you think, "Oh, but maybe I need 3 more degrees just to be safe." Listen, last month, one of my clients actually apologized for not being expert enough to raise her prices. Hey, this woman has 10 years of experience. She literally wrote a book on her topic. Meanwhile, there's people on TikTok who are teaching people how to start businesses with zero experience and charging premium prices for it. The audacity. Here's what I started doing instead of collecting more certificates to prove my worth. I actually keep a heck yeah folder in my email. Every time a client sends a thank you note or somebody shares a win, it goes in there. And on days when that imposter syndrome is hitting hard, I open up that folder and I remind myself, oh yeah, right, I actually do know what I'm talking about. Second trigger, the everyone else has it all figured out comparison trap. Let me tell you what's really happening behind those perfect Instagram reels. You know those super polished ones where people are sharing their multiple six-figure launches? Well, I was on a call with someone who makes these the other day. She was recording her video in her car because her dog wouldn't stop barking in the house. We're all just doing our best. So instead of comparing yourself to someone else's highlight reel, try this. Write down everything you've figured out in your business so far, even the teeny tiny stuff like I learned how to schedule my own social media posts, or I finally figured out how to use Canva without crying. You have come farther than you think. Trigger number 3, but I am not consistent enough story. Raise your hand if you've ever felt personally victimized by your own content calendar. Yeah, me too. Here's a real story. For 3 months, I tried to stick to this super strict posting schedule because some guru said I needed to. It was like 3 posts a day at a certain time with themed content, the works. Want to know what actually happened? I burned out. I posted nothing for 2 weeks. And then I spent another 2 weeks feeling guilty about it. Now I post when I have something to say. Sometimes that is 3 times a day, and sometimes it's once a week. Guess what? My business didn't implode. In fact, my engagement got better because I was posting stuff I actually cared about. Fourth and final trigger, the I am not professional enough worry. And this one is my favorite because it's so ridiculous and silly once you really look at it. Last week I was on a discovery call and my neighbor's cat, not my neighbor, just the cat, was visiting and decided it was the perfect time to knock over my glass of water that was sitting on my desk. You know what happened? That potential client and I laughed about it. She showed me her dog, and we ended up having a real human conversation and connection instead of that stiff professional one. And she signed up for my highest package. So here is how we are going to flip this into our inner CEO energy. Number 1, start collecting evidence of your awesomeness. Literally write it down. Every win, every thank you, every moment where you figured something out. Our brain likes to forget these, so make it obvious. Number 2, create your own definition of success. If your version of being a CEO means working in your pajamas and taking Wednesday afternoons off for Pilates or pottery class, guess what? That's valid. Number 3, share the behind the scenes mess sometimes. Not in a, oh, look how relatable I am, forced kind of way, but in a, hey, we're all human way. Trust me, your audience is going to thank you for it. Number 4, give yourself permission to evolve. Your inner CEO now does not have to look like anybody else's version of success. And your inner CEO a year from now might want completely different things, and that's quite okay. Here's something I want you to try this week. Every time that imposter voice pipes up, say thank you Because all it's doing is it's trying to keep you safe. And then ask yourself, what would my inner CEO do? Hey, maybe your inner CEO takes messy action instead of waiting for perfection. Maybe they trust that they're going to figure it out along the way. And just maybe they wear sparkly boots to important meetings because who made the rules anyway, right? Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. What if imposter syndrome isn't actually a bad thing? What if it is just a sign that you are growing, trying new things and pushing your comfort zone? Think about it. We don't get imposter syndromes about things we've mastered. I never feel like an imposter about my ability to binge watch an entire Netflix series in one day, right? I've got that down. We only feel like imposters when we're stretching and growing. So maybe, just maybe, instead of trying to banish imposter syndrome completely, we just try to reframe it. Oh, hey, imposter syndrome. Thanks for letting me know that I'm growing and evolving. Thank you so much for joining me for this very first episode of Lead with Soul. If this resonated with you, I would love for you to share it with a friend who might need to hear it. Speaking of sharing, hey, come find me on Instagram at Meghna_Dassani, where we can continue this conversation. I love hearing from my listeners. I actually respond to DMs myself. Yep, really. Next week, we are going to be talking about hustle culture. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Until then, remember, your inner CEO exists. She's just waiting for you to step into those sparkly boots and own it.